All right. Let's now welcome our speaker, Kristen from Santa Maria. Excuse me.
Good evening, Kristen, alcoholic. All right. Wow. This is first. I want to thank Myra for asking me to speak. I'm always so shocked because it's always an honor and a privilege because I was so when I walked in here, I never thought I could get it, and for anybody to want to hear anything I have to say is always it's humbling to say the least. So, well, gosh, and I want to welcome the newcomer, Ingrid, and anybody else who's new that didn't identify. And, I truly know the pain of being a newcomer and, the daily struggle to just stay sober. For me, it was, minutes turned into 30 minutes to an hour to, I could maybe put 4 hours together, and then I just could not do it. And so whenever I see somebody new, I'm always just in awe over, 1 day of sobriety, or just it's remarkable to me. And then I want to thank my best friend here, who's an Alcoholics Anonymous, Vicki, for coming with me and driving. My uncle, who has 30 years of sobriety, and then my aunt, also a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and my mother, too. So I just like to always, say thank you for coming and listening to me, although you've heard me before. So, but first, oh gosh, let me see. I guess I'll just kind of start because I have a lot of time to talk. So, and if I, I am not for everybody, and that's why there's a variety of speakers everywhere. And I always feel like if one person hears one thing that will help them, I feel like God speaks, through me. My story's my story, and and I'm sticking to it. And so I was actually born in Oxnard at St. John's Hospital, and my family immediately moved me to Santa Barbara. So I grew up in Santa Barbara and spent 42 years of my life there, and how I wound up in Santa Maria is where my alcoholism started. And, I started way late in life drinking. I was 42 when I started drinking. I just celebrated my 48th birthday on Monday. So they say with women, especially in the big book, it can take women, in just a few short years, you can be a full-blown alcoholic. And truly that is my story. And but I come from... Everybody in my family is an alcoholic and a drug addict. I cannot think of anybody that hasn't and isn't still actively in their addiction. And I have a sister, and because of my alcoholism, I have not talked to her in 4 years because of the damage I did to our relationship. And I have a brother who is 16 years younger than me, and he's an alcoholic and an angry alcoholic. And we like to say it's the hot-headed Hawaiian in us, and so it's kind of an excuse. When the alcohol didn't work, it's like, oh, I'm a hot-headed Hawaiian, So it's like, let's see. So I grew up in Santa Barbara, and, I had a pretty charmed childhood. My father was a hardworking man. He worked at Santa Barbara Research Center, but he was an alcoholic. And my father died at the age of 52 of this disease and of lung cancer. And so I think about that today, and I'm thinking, gosh, that is in 4 years. I could die. And it seemed... I was 29 years old when my father died, and to think that in 4 years, it's so young. Like, I used to think it was so ancient. And now, although my children think I am an ancient old, like I'm being 48, they made fun of me on my birthday, which I let them do. I don't mind that at all. But to grow up and see alcohol it was always a happy time. My dad would play Hawaiian music and the ukulele and sing, and my mother did not drink or do anything. I was raised a Mormon, so everybody gasped, oh my God. So yeah, but my mom gave us the choice to not go to church at some point, and me and my sister, of course, decided, not to go to church anymore. And but my father, we didn't have violence in our house. It just was normal. My dad always walked in after he got off work with a Coors Light, his cool cigarettes, beer nuts, and pork rinds. And it was just the norm for our house, and he would make dinner because my mom was not a cook. And I don't know, I don't think she still is, but she, so it was just so normal to us. And we didn't, I think my sister, because she was older than me, she would get the brunt of if my dad swatted us with a belt. I just don't remember anything real horrible as a child. And we spent a lot of time in Hawaii because my grandfather had a hotel there on the Alawai Canal. And, a lot of people refer to their ethnicity as drinkers. And Samoans and Hawaiians, yeah, they just and I believe everybody says that about, I hear it all the time in Alcoholics Anonymous, and truly, we grew up seeing that, and it was just so happy, though, and we just run around, and I never went without, because my father was an alcoholic. My mom was a hard worker. She worked for the government, and so, but anyways, let's see, so I went to, I grew up in Goleta, went to, school, the same elementary school, junior high, and then in high school, when I was around 12 years old, I battled severe eating disorders, and I still battle that today. I will never be who I want to be when I look in the mirror. And, I speak about my eating disorders because it has everything to do with my alcoholism and how it ignited it in me later in life, and so I'll share about that and when I get further with my story. But so I went into a treatment program for bulimia and anorexia, and I decided to go rebel and go the other way because that's what we do, and it's exactly what I did when I with my drinking. Everyone's like, stop, and I'm just more and more, and it's just, I cannot stop. And so I did that, and I missed a lot of things getting to be a kid. I hung out with my friends, and we would go downtown in Santa Barbara, and we'd stand in front of a liquor store, and you could get any man to go in and buy you alcohol. You can't, that doesn't happen these days. You're going to go, find you're handcuffed, if you do that. But, and we would get these bottles of Yukon Jack, and, we'd all take swigs of it. And I remember, and I can still now, I can just feel that warmth right here, and just love that feeling. But it was enough for me, just that swig. And I was, and you're 15 years old, and you think, that's just, it's a great thing to feel like that, and you're getting away with something because you shouldn't be drinking. And so, those were my kinds of things. I didn't do drugs. I didn't, drink excessively ever. I was that once in a blue moon drinker with my girlfriends. And then I think because I was so into my, when you we all find out in Alcoholics Anonymous that it's not about the drink. It's about the insides and our behavior, and it's not about, it took a while to even know that. And so with my other eating disorder, it's the same thing. I will never be happy. I look in the mirror, I'll never, ever be happy with how I look. I can never be small enough, but, I'll just always be, and I think with age comes a little bit of maturity in that, and not really, caring so much about that stuff. But anyway, so I went to high school, and it was fairly difficult to get through high school because of being in treatment for my eating disorders, and I just would. Right out of high school, I took typing. I took semesters of typing since I was in junior high, so I could type 100 words a minute. So right out of high school, I got a really good job at UCSB. And I was working for the vice chancellor of personnel, and we would, then I started going to happy hour with my friends, but I was always the designated driver. And if I ever got drunk, I would always just be the next day hungover. And I just was like, I don't ever want to hang out with you guys again, because I hated that feeling. And I would be hungover like 3 or 4 days. It was just awful. So that's the alcohol, that's how I reacted to alcohol. And then I wouldn't drink for ever, like a year. I'd be a once a year drinker. And it was just so strange how I could turn it off, and not ever want to drink, and so when I turned 21, I went to all the clubs and hung out, but I was always kept my friends safe, and I had a few times though I'd come home and my mom would tell me, you can't just come here and drop off all your dirty laundry and be here and stuff, and so I have those kinds of things, but nothing really. I never got in trouble. I just was. I don't know. I don't like to say normal, because I'm absolutely not normal. But I really, I guess I just had a really good life. I didn't have any horrible stuff that happened to me. But so anyways, I lived in, I was able to get this place in La Conchita that my mom moved out of, and it was a studio. So I lived right on the main, along the 101 freeway. And it was... so great. You walk under the freeway to the beach, and it's just, and so I kind of started, hanging out with my friends more and drinking a little more, but just, not too much. And I eventually I met my husband, who I am not with anymore, and he's California Highway Patrol. And he was working he used to work in Ventura, and he would... be at that little market there that's not there anymore. So I met my husband, and, would go out, and we'd go out, and I would drink and throw up, and, get so drunk I would throw up. But just like, I don't have, we would bring wine maybe sometimes to the house, and it just wasn't, and he was a cop, and so he just wasn't down with too much drinking and driving and all that stuff. So, but anyway, so then, yeah, it's like, they do it though. They're the biggest group of hypocrites if you want to know the truth. But yeah, so, and if you're a cop in here, I'm sorry if that offended you. But, but anyway, so I just really, so he's the love of my life, and I truly like to say that about my husband, even though we are not together. We have been apart for like 9 years now, but I have a son who's 22. He's in the Army, and he's married. I have a 19-year-old who's in college in Santa Barbara, and then I have a 16-year-old who lives still with me at home, and she's a junior in high school. And so, if it's the one thing I did right in life, it is those three little human beings that are the most driven people. And but they also got to see their mother, who they never saw drink, turn into a complete maniac. Any moment my eyes were open, I was drinking, and I was violent to them, and I'll get to all that. But anyway, so I meet my husband, and he moves in a month, and then he had only been on the force for 5 years, and we moved to Santa Barbara, and then I get pregnant, and I have my son, and then I quit my job, and so because I just couldn't work, and because of his schedule and my schedule and everything, so I quit my job, and And then I have my daughter, another one 2 years, 9 months later, and then again. And so in all that, I never was overweight my whole entire life until I had kids. And I remember looking in the mirror, and I know this is, it's like when people don't talk about drugs in Alcoholics Anonymous, but this is a pivotal thing in from my doctor's expertise, so I got to share about it. But anyways, so I look in the mirror and I'm looking at myself and I'm thinking, I don't recognize myself. I never was bigger than a size 8 ever in my entire life. And all of a sudden I'm looking in the mirror and I weigh 258 pounds. And I just didn't recognize myself anymore. I was a stay-at-home mom. I had these 3 kids, and so I had gone to this seminar at a cottage hospital for gastric bypass surgery. And, and I didn't qualify because I wasn't fat enough. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll go eat some more. But I got really lucky. The office manager, the nurse, she was one of my friends. And when I saw her, I walked in and I was like, oh, God, this is God's way of telling me, please, I am going to get this surgery. I don't care if I qualified, whatever you have to do. And she actually left the room, and they had the scale on the outside of the other side of the door. And she said, do whatever you have to weigh more. And I had this really heavy purse with me, and I held onto this purse, and I weighed enough. So I got this surgery, and I lost 118 pounds in 8 months. And I was running, and I ran 16 miles a day. I was at the gym twice a day. That's all I was doing, is just living and breathing to work out. And when I got that thin, I looked in the mirror, and it did nothing for me. I still was not happy. So I decide I don't want to be married anymore. So I tell my husband I don't want to be married, and we still live together. And then a month later, I had a stroke. And it had nothing to do with the gastric bypass, but I was born with a hole in my heart. And 25% of people walk around with it, 3% can't live with it. And I was one of those. So I had to have heart surgery. And so I find myself in Santa Barbara in my expensive house. I can't afford to live there anymore, but I don't want to, I want my husband to still provide for me, and the entitled wife, of 3 children, and I haven't worked. And fortunately for me, and unfortunately for him, that is the case in California, So I am, I'm pretty well taken care of as far as that goes. And but I had to move to Santa Maria. And if you're you guys are from here, the most beautiful coastline, and, you have everything at your fingertips here in Ventura. It's just, and so I went from Santa Barbara with my ocean view house to Santa Maria. And, I got there, and it was total devastation. I remember waking up in the morning and just going, how did I get here? I missed my coffee, where I got coffee. I missed my gym. I just missed everything about Santa Barbara, and I never thought about that part of leaving Santa Barbara, but I could not afford to stay there. So I started meeting my friends in Santa Ynez halfway. We would meet halfway so we could hang out, and I started drinking, and it did it for me. And if anybody knows anybody that's had gastric bypass surgery, it is literally like what you hear people say, what comes over you if you slam dope, or, if something is injected right into your veins. And that's what alcohol did for me. The moment I took a medicine cup full, it was just the most amazing feeling. It's something that you can't explain unless you've had that surgery, and I know a lot of women in Alcoholics Anonymous who have had gastric bypass surgery, sober. So they don't know. And this is why I share about it, because it is a curse if you are an alcoholic. It's a blessing if you can handle it. It is a total curse if you are an alcoholic like me. It runs deep in my veins. Everybody in my family is an alcoholic, drug addict, and I thought I got so lucky. Oh, I just get, anorexia and bulimia, and now I'm fat, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like I'm so lucky. Well, no, I got it bad. And so I would drink with my friends, and I'd drive home drunk from Santa Ynez to Santa Maria, and then I never would bring alcohol home for about a week. And then I just, it was quick. And so, it was 1 bottle of wine, 2 bottles of wine. I had friends that own wineries in Santa Ynez. Here's a case, throw it in your trunk. And by the time I know it, I am drinking 40, 50 beers a day. Just anytime my eyes are open. And I am the most despicable, violent, disgusting person when I drink, and I'm an isolator drinker. I love to drink in my closet. I love to drink on the floor. I love to sit in the bathroom. I will drink anywhere alone. I love to be alone and drink. And my children, though, were like my little hostages, and they had to endure seeing me. Never, ever, I hate to say it, I was like the PTO mother, we had like the perfect looking little life, and it actually was decent. I wasn't happy married, and, it had played it just was done for me being married. And so my kids, though, really, for them to be in my life today, they didn't really have a choice. You'd think their father, because he's a cop, and I'm not trying to blame him, but he never tried to take them from me. He never, ever. And I don't understand that. They would call him crying, and they say people, I hear a lot of people say, oh, I lost my kids. You didn't lose them, you gave them away. And that's, and I basically, that would have been the case had he done that. But he had to move to San Francisco because in San Francisco, the highest paid highway patrol officers live there. And it's because they have to protect the governor. They protect the bridges. They do all this stuff since 9/11. And he had to work there because of the overtime to support my life and his life. And his integrity is that of nobody I know, that he tolerated me. And he would get the phone calls, my kids would find me in the backyard. Who knows how long I was back there, and just white as a sheet, from alcohol poisoning. I had drank probably those big bottles of Grey Goose you can get at Costco. And so I started when I dropped the kids off at school, like at 7 in the morning with Red Bull. And I love to water and drink. It's my favorite thing. And I'm not kidding. My water bill was $400 a month because I would spend all day, and I love to lay in the sun. It's my favorite thing to do. And I could clean house. Just my house was immaculate when I was drinking. I was like the Energizer Bunny. But this one incident, I had 2 bottles of those big, huge bottles of Grey Goose from Costco. They're a little bigger than what you buy anywhere else. And I'm in the backyard, and I call my husband, and he's in Oakland working. And within 4 hours, he cannot get me on the phone. He tells his captain, I need to get there. But he doesn't call the police. He doesn't call 911 to come check on me. And later he told me, and this is just about 6 months ago, he told me that he was coming, hoping he would find me dead at home. He could not take one more moment of me I wasn't even with him anymore, and he's the object of my affection, the drunk texting, nothing he could do. And so he got to Santa Maria in about 4 hours. And I probably went to the hospital about 10 times with alcohol poisoning. And in the hospital when you're drunk, oh my, they don't give a shit. They don't care about you at all. It's only because we're at a church, because I do cuss, and I'm so sorry that I just did that. But they had me in the hallway, my dress is up. They don't treat you very well, as they shouldn't, because for me, it got worse, and but the thing about my gastric bypass surgery, I could drink like that. You have to drink like a fish. I could drink 20 beers, not kidding, in 1 hour, and within about a half hour, I'm sober. I am just as if I didn't drink anything. And that is the blessing and the curse if you can handle your alcohol, if you're not a crazed maniac alcoholic like me. And so, it was always it was kind of weird. People would think you literally appear like you need to be in the psych ward because you are that crazy. I remember my aunt coming to pick me up at the hospital, and she saw me first drunk right when when they brought me trying to revive me, and I don't even know what they do to you to get all that alcohol out of you. But she saw me, and then about a half hour later, I walk out, and I'm like, "Hi, you ready?" And she's just like, "Okay, crazy," and even my children, they would come home, and I love to lay in the sun and water, so I'd be all oiled up, and I'm upstairs, and they find me at the bottom of the landing of the stairs because I have fallen, and I was just there like for hours, just blacked out. And I'm a blackout drinker. It's and it's so crazy. In Alcoholics Anonymous, I hear people talk about their blackouts, and for me, I remember them now, and it's the craziest thing. There's this off ramp in Santa Maria, and it's a really dangerous if you drink, and it was my off ramp, and this curve, and how I did that, I woke up in the curve one time, and I remember that. I mean, it is the craziest, just most insane thing to black out. When people don't know what a blackout is, I'm just like, I want to tell you what it's like. It's like, it's just like, and you really can't explain it. You have to live it. And it's almost, to me, being blacked out but semi-conscious or something. It's just really weird because for me, I saw all these vivid things in my mind, so I'm in Santa Maria, and I'm, drinking like that. And I had heart surgery in October of 2010, and a week after heart surgery, I'm just out. I start going out, and I have a friend that owns a restaurant in Orchid. I'm there just drinking all the time, coming home, and I turned into this. It even got worse. I don't know what. I don't know if it was like my heart. Okay, I'm going to live now. My heart's okay, and but anyway, so that's October of 2010. So I'm going to jump all the way to August 2011. And so I was in Santa Maria. It was about 5:30 in the evening. And I have some friends that are visiting from Spain. And it was Michael Jordan's flight camp at UCSB. And I drive to Santa Barbara, get there about 5:30. And I go to this big, huge party. And I later find out, I didn't know, because I stopped drinking vodka because I was like, that's the problem. Vodka, that's got to be it. I'm going to just drink wine and beer. And so I later found out that I drank about probably a whole, like that bottle, I don't even know what they're called, like quarts, pints, whatever, this big of the Absolute with Red Bull, 2 bottles of wine, and, just kind of hanging out with some beers, around the pool. And this guy I'm dating, he gets jealous because I'm talking to other people, and I just so drunk. This is about 9 at night. 5:30, I get there. About 9:30, I managed to get all my stuff, my suitcase. I had these heels on about this high, and I managed to get my suitcase, and I walked down about 82 steps. It was this house up in the Riviera in Santa Barbara. And how I did that, I don't know. Managed to get to my car, and my car wasn't blocked in. It was not trapped with all the other cars. It was just like, that's God telling me to leave, I guess. And so I get in my car, and I remember driving to Jack in the Box in Santa Barbara, because I need a Diet Coke or something. And, I'm like, and so I remember driving there, and then I go and get on the freeway there at Hitchcock by the car dealership, and I don't remember not one thing after that. And I drive, it takes me about 25 minutes, and I'm going up the Refugio Hill, and this is all witnesses now, speaking for me, but it's pretty solid information because it happened, and it happened to me. So I get to the top of the hill, and if you're familiar with that right there, before you, at Refugio, when you're going northbound, there's a bridge, and nothing is stopping you from driving in that brush and going just down the bridge. I didn't do that. I stayed in the fast lane, and I waited, and then I get to the top of the hill, and there's literally shrub this high protecting the people on the other side of the freeway from me. And the witnesses said I go into the center divider, and I'm driving about 80 miles per hour, and for about a mile, and then my car just starts rolling. I rolled about 10 times, and since nobody knows me here, but I always have my hair in a ponytail or in a bun, because I lost, from my car rolled about 10 times, all the glass shattered, and I lost all this hair on this side. I had about 50 stitches here. I lost these 2 fingers. And I had the most amazing surgeon that put my fingers back the best he could. And I have this big chunk in my arm. But I didn't lose, it stopped right here. I didn't even lose my eyebrow. I didn't lose my ear. I didn't lose my nose. I didn't lose my life. And, and now, without a doubt, and if you're new, or if God is not for you, or it's not your higher power, for me, I absolutely know today it was God that's how I'm even standing here. I have seen, there's a woman in Santa Maria that got in just a fender bender, you would think, with the description of her accident, and she lost her leg. And I see her, haven't seen her in a while, so I don't know if she's sober anymore. I'm going to have to check on her now tomorrow, just thinking about it. But I should have died in that crash. My car came to rest upside down on the northbound side where I was, on the shoulder. And the first response was the park ranger from Refugio State Beach. And then a CHP cruiser shows up, and I'm all, oh crap, this is not going to be good for me. I am in and out of consciousness. I am crazy, like literally hallucinating, everything. I don't know what happened to me. And the CHP cruiser, I later got to hear all the audio because of the perks of being married to a highway patrol. And my husband at this point moved back to Santa Barbara. So this is his office taking my crash. And the first officer that came, he had no idea who I was. And then my husband's sergeant showed up. And I remember hearing, oh my God, that's Dana Smith's wife, and blah, this and that. And they, quickly stabilized my neck. I tell them I had 3 people with me in my car. So they closed the 101 freeway for 3.5 hours. But I did have 3 people in my car, hours before, but not with me then. Thank God my children were with their father. And the county fire truck that came was my sister's very best friend. She was the captain on that truck. And she passed out, and they had to give her Epsom salt when she saw it was me. And getting to hear all the audio from that, people were not, they were kind of, it's unfortunate, but the CHP have sayings, things they say, they drive up to a car on fire, oh, is there crispy critters? There's just not very nice about things they say. And the audio was, before they knew that I was married to one of their fellow officers, they were, saying that's a fatal. And by this point, I'm gone in the ambulance, but they closed the freeway, never found anybody, and so my husband's not answering his phone, and so they send a car to his house, and he tells, my kids were there, and they're like, oh, where are you going? And he says, and this is probably by 11:30 at night, and he says, oh, I have to go to work to do, they just need help. And so he comes to Cottage Hospital, and John Palmentary's there. He's a reporter for Key News, and he knows my husband really well. And it's already, the news had been out there. I find all this out later because I'm just totally passed out and unconscious, in and out of consciousness. And so John Palmentary says to my husband, what are you doing here? Are you waiting for this ambulance? And he said, please just go away. But my name is Kristen Smith. It's like no one would know it was me if it made the paper or the news or whatever. And it did make the news. But they never said my name on the news. They never got a story out of it. But they did say alcohol and drugs appear to be the cause, of course, and before they even know, they know, and they're reporting on it. And so I'm in and out of consciousness, and these fingers, this finger's completely was ripped off. This finger is like hanging by a thread, and my husband's like standing there trembling, crying, and this is how sick I am. All I care about is my dress that I was wearing, and I'm like, just that's all I can think about is where is my dress, my brand new dress, And they, because of my heart surgery, I have this device in my heart, and they need to get me into cardiology and all this stuff. And I'm screaming about is this dress. And my husband's just like, he goes and gets the dress, this bloody dress. And he's all, here's your freaking dress. And he throws it in my face. And I don't remember anything else after that because I lost so much blood from that crash, from the crash to being transported. And it was about, it's about a 30-minute drive to Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital. And I remember waking up the next morning, and my head is bandaged and bloody, and they don't clean you up. If you are there because you are a drunk driver, it's even worse than being in there with alcohol poisoning. And I remember, there's that sink with the mirror. And I remember sitting up and looking at myself and just crying and saying, God, why didn't you kill me? Like, why am I alive still? I cannot even, every time I drank before, I just wanted to die. Like, I drank hoping that I wouldn't wake up in the morning. And then I survive this horrific crash. And right about within seconds, my kids walk in. And my youngest daughter, she's just so upset, crying. My oldest daughter just wants to hold me. My son's looking at me just in disgust because he's 16 and he knows, like, he's just like, your mom is, you're just a loser. And he had seen the progression, and it got worse for us. I ended up having another heart surgery. I had 4 hand surgeries. And, I had to go to court. My court case took about 4 months to get to court because of my husband. And it was in Santa Barbara, and then they had to move it to Santa Maria, which worked out better for me because I lived there. But So I go to court, I get, probation, house arrest, DUI school. And I remember when I went on house arrest, and I got ordered to Alcoholics Anonymous, of course, And does a DUI make you an alcoholic? Absolutely not. And, and that is that judge did me the hugest favor by sending me to Alcoholics Anonymous. But I continued to drink and go to meetings. And I remember when I went on house arrest, it was really no big deal. I had 25 days of house arrest, and at 19 or 18 days of house arrest, they call me and they say, oh, you can cut your bracelet off in the morning. And I was like, okay, wait, let's all get on the same page here. Are you sure? And so because they were really, kind of all over you. If you've been on house arrest, that little thing buzzes if you're not exactly where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, and if you don't call. And so, but it was so strange, and I'll never forget, it's when Whitney Houston died. That's when I was on house arrest. And I remember I had to plug into the wall all the time to charge it. There were these times, and you had to be plugged into the wall for 1 hour charging. And I remember, it seemed no big deal to not have alcohol. Now I know that ankle bracelet wasn't monitoring anything but my whereabouts, and I could have drank. And everybody in AA that's been on house arrest, they say, oh my God, I can't believe you didn't drink. And I'm like, God, I just was so scared. I was petrified to get in trouble. When I went to court, the judge made me cry. I cried in the courtroom, and he said, you should know better. And I'm telling him, I should know better. My husband's the cop, because he kind of knew our whole story. And I just was like, I was like, kind of defensive, but weak and crying and all this stuff. And I'm the girl that goes to DUI school, drunk and gets everybody tested, and everybody's put at risk because of me, because I'm coming to DUI school drunk. And so the moment that I got off of house arrest, I remember a Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. They tell me, no, you can cut it off. I do. And the sheriff, I remember him telling me, well, don't party, don't celebrate too much, but have fun, go do something you want. So I'm at my friend's restaurant, and I'm drinking from 3 in the afternoon till 3 in the morning. And from that moment on, and I'm going to Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm still going. I went to 125 meetings in 60 days. And I turned my court card in, and the judge, I think that if you get sentenced to, if you get sent to Alcoholics Anonymous, you 30 meetings in 60 days, I say boo-hoo your story somewhere else, because it is not, the punishment, what I got is not punishment enough for just what I could have caused, keeping me off, I could have been the person in the orange jumpsuit, because I was showing Vicki today, the brush is this, Caltrans keeps it really manicured through there, and it's like this high only, keeping in nothing, there's no barriers, there's nothing where I was. And so later on, but I'm a victim, I'm like, I'm drinking at everybody, I'm going to drink, so at that time I don't know that the punishment doesn't fit the crime, and so I keep going to Alcoholics Anonymous out of sheer boredom, because I am so miserable living in Santa Maria, and it is truly, what made me drink like that, and it's, and I went from Santa Barbara to there, and, if nobody's been there, I'm sure you get it if you have been there, and I'm so sorry that if anybody's from there, whenever I speak up there, I'm like, oh my God, I offend so many people. People get some serious resentments towards me because of how I talk about Santa Maria, so I apologize for that. But so I continue to have about 900 more. I'll start tomorrow, and I don't know. I can't even say I'm an alcoholic yet, because who starts drinking at the age of 42 and turns into a full-blown alcoholic? So for me, step one was fairly easy once I could admit I was an alcoholic, but it took me 2.5 years to sit in a room of Alcoholics Anonymous and raise my hand and say, my name is Kristen and I'm an alcoholic as a newcomer. So I go 39 days. On the 29th day, I finally got a sponsor. She spent 2 hours with me at Olive Garden, and I'm like, who is this crazy? Like somebody cares that much about me that doesn't even know me. And she sat with me. 9 days later, I relapsed. And I went out for 3 weeks. And I went to this convention at the Radisson in Santa Maria. And I was drinking the whole weekend at the convention. I wasn't drinking in the bar at the hotel, though. I had it in my car. And then I'd run home. And, and they had DUI checkpoints set up on the street that we had to drive on. But I had someone driving me. And I remember that Saturday night going to the countdown at the convention. There's about 400 people there. And they do the countdown. I'm not kidding. I had less than 30 minutes of sobriety. And my sponsor's telling me, you have to stand up. There was a girl that had 2 days of sobriety. This girl crying, just homeless, just the worst case I have ever seen. And here I am going to take, really from her, she has 2 days. I don't deserve to get up there and get I call it the newest loser book, but the newest newcomer book, and everybody signs it. And, my sponsor literally pulled me up, and I'm drunk. I'm feeling it, and I'm coming off of it a little, and I go up there and I get the book, and I take the book, but I go home and I drink. I think there's 54 bottles of beer on my dresser and in my bedroom. And I woke up in the morning and I don't know, I either needed to die that night or I needed to try to get sober. And I did. And I have never, I have had situations where I found it absolutely necessary to drink again, and I haven't. And my date is 11/11/13. I'm coming up on 3 years of sobriety. I've been in Alcoholics Anonymous for 5 years, and I'm the drunk girl along the wall, hiding and, not being disruptive, though. Everybody says, God, you were drinking? So many people don't know I was drinking, and but not for me. It was 5 minutes at a time. I woke up that morning. I said, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I did it. Another day, I had to just go to meetings. I was with another alcoholic almost at all times, and then I worked my first step. My sponsor had me write it out, and I did that within my first probably about a week. I did that. And step 3 was really, 2 was really no problem for me. Step 3, I believe in God, and I will forever be grateful to Alcoholics Anonymous for reintroducing me to a God that I can understand and that I can maintain a relationship with. I don't need religion. I don't need any of that, and I can have it, but I don't need it. And I know Alcoholics Anonymous is a spiritual program. And, I just, at 54 days, someone asked me to help on a fundraiser. I do that. At 62 days, I'm trying to figure out how to kill myself cleanly, not make a bloody mess, because I don't know how to live with alcohol or without alcohol. And some way I made it through that night, and I didn't kill myself, because here I am. And, it took I remember at 179 days of sobriety, I said God wants me to drink, because it's not gone. I still want it. I want the actual liquid, the fluid. I need that. I can't do this. And I almost drank, and I said, no, go to a meeting, hold on tight, call somebody. And I did. And it went away the next day. So at 6 months, that happens to me. But the most amazing thing for me in Alcoholics Anonymous, more so than losing that, was at 8 months sober, I finally realized it's one day at a time. I don't have to think about tomorrow. I don't need to think about anything but today. And you spend 8 of it sleeping, however, and so for me, I hated when people say, one day at a time, keep coming back. You're like, shut the fuck, you're just like, don't say that to me. I don't want to hear it. Keep all your cliches. But truly, the one day at a time, and I count my days. I have 1,047 days today. And a lot of people get rubbed wrong by that. But I say it in every meeting, how many days I have, and I don't care it is none of my business what they think about me nor what I think about them. And for me, being of service and these steps and sponsoring other women and just reaching out to whoever I can and being of service gets people to know you. And that is if you have a problem just, holding your head up or saying, when people used to call on me, my neck would turn red and my face was literally on fire because I was petrified. I was so in fear of people finding out really who I was. And so today, I know the meeting, I have like 2 minutes left. Okay. But I really, being of service is, I have about 5 service commitments at all times. Mostly, almost 4 of them have just ended. So now I'm down to 1, but I will get more. And I sponsor women. I help other women. I love to be of service. And who would have thought that being of service would make me feel better? And to see the newcomers, you keep me sober because you come and remind me what it's like out there and what I never, ever want to go back. But I do realize I only have today, and that's it. And I just really quickly, if I could just read this. This sums up Alcoholics Anonymous to me in just this paragraph to date of how my life is. And it's on page 511 out of Gutter Bravado. And it says, so today I'm much more comfortable with life as Alcoholics Anonymous has promised. And I know they're right when they say it keeps getting better. My circumstances have steadily improved as my spiritual life grows and matures. Words cannot begin to describe the feeling in my heart as I sometimes ponder how much my life has changed, how far I've come, and how much there is yet to discover. And though I'm not sure where my journey may take me next, I know I'll owe it to the grace of God and to the 3 words of the 12 steps: continue, improve, and practice. Oh, and one more thing, they told me humility is the key. And truly, they say willingness, and really that is it. And, I don't need to be my story anymore. I can tell my story, but I don't need to be it anymore. And neither do you. If you're in here struggling, hold on, just sit on your hands. And it is, I absolutely love Alcoholics Anonymous. And it's given me. And it's forever. It's the rest of my life. I hope that I'll be here. So thank you very much.